And this is also known as, I guess, departing the commission day or something like that. We have two people who aren't going to be with us any longer. One is Lacey Hutchinson. Lacey's back there somewhere. And Lacey, how long have you been with us? Just over a year, which is not a real long time, but every minute of that year, she's done an excellent job for us, and so your work here has been much appreciated. We understand you've got personal goals, and we support you, and we wish you the best as you go forward. Just keep us in mind, because we'd love to have you back before you finish your state service. So best wishes from all of us here, Lacey. Thank you. We also have Kevin Nielson. Unfortunately, he's decided not to stay any longer. He's able to retire, which is a very positive thing for him. Well, that's probably, if you make that motion, I think it would pass, and we would probably have to.
I'll do it right now. We like Kevin, we respect Kevin very much, as we do with so many people here, but we object to Kevin's retirement.
Well, I think we all feel the same way. Kevin's been in a leadership position for many years and has done just a great job. And anytime I have a question to answer, I need an answer to, I can call Kevin up, and he always fills me out and informs me. So, Kevin, you're going to be greatly missed. I know in the leadership group here you'll be missed because you've been here for so many years. But new people are coming in. We got new people, I guess, that Raj and the leadership team have been interviewing. So there'll be some new faces, but they'll hopefully be very competent and won't be able to fill the shoes maybe initially of Lacey and Kevin, especially Kevin, I think, because of his long tenure. But we do send our best wishes to Kevin, and don't be a stranger. Come back for our gatherings if you can, and you'll always be welcome. We even take Bill O'Brien back on occasion, so you know you're welcome. So, okay, so a round of applause for Kevin. Okay, we also have Commissioner Correa.
Yesterday's newspaper, local newspaper, had a short article about Chesapeake Utility. That person for corporate governance, she was promoted to next level and all those things. What I liked the most about the article was that she was responsible for, and that speaks highly of the management of the Chesapeake Utility, that she was responsible for best corporate governance among North American utilities. So such an award for corporate governance in 21st century, when a lot of things are underhanded and not very kosher for the customers and the shareholders, this award speaks very highly for the management, top management, and then it filters into the rate studies and rates and customer services and what have you. So I want to congratulate Chesapeake Utilities for that, and please pass on my compliments to the board of directors, because that's where the top management starts with this governance.
Thank you, Commissioner Correa. We will pass that along.
Thank you.
Next, we have the consent agenda. I should say that Commissioner Gray is at a conference out of state, which is why he's not here today. We have five items on the consent agenda. Does any commissioner wish to have one of those taken off, or any issues?
Move we adopt the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We will turn to the regular agenda. And as Commissioner Correa said, we want to thank and applaud Chesapeake Utilities for their efforts. But let's see here. We also want to reward them by having them be number one on the agenda today. So Mr. O'Brien will come forward. We're going to do number 6, so Chesapeake doesn't have to wait here the entire, possibly afternoon, so we can get a very simple, quick item done on the calendar. Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you very much, Chairman Winslow, for moving us up, and thank you for hearing us today. Bill O'Brien on behalf of Chesapeake Utilities Corporation. So this is PSC docket number 19-0228, and it is Chesapeake Utility Corporation's request for approval to issue company stock and long-term debt. The long-term debt would be up to $350 million of unsecured long-term debt securities, and the stock would be a total of $150 million in equity, which is approximately 1.7 million shares. I believe you have a staff memo in front of you recommending approval, and you have proposed order number 9395, and Chesapeake would request that you adopt that proposed order. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Staff did its analysis. I will give credit to Ms. Gannon for her counting and analytical acumen, and there was a consensual order drafted and circulated, as Mr. O'Brien referenced. I have reviewed both prior to this hearing, and staff would recommend Commission's approval of this order as well.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Ms. Iori.
Thank you, Chairman Winslow. The public advocate does not object to the form of order.
Thank you, Ms. Iori. Commissioners, any questions? Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Normally, we have our treasurer here, Tom Mann, sitting beside me. He happened to be out of town today, unfortunately, but I did want to introduce a member of Tom's team who's here with me today, Nicole Durham. And we also have from the regulatory team, Matt Evergam and Marie Kosel. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Correa.
I don't have any questions, but I have a comment that reading this memo from you guys to the commission staff, this was a sheer pleasure, because every time you issue the debt and also issue the common stock, as you have mentioned, that maintains the balance very well. There are so many technical names for it, capital to debt ratio and capitalization ratio, and there are so many technical words for that. But you have done a good job on this. Especially when I go to the last page has a ratio which is 55 to 41. For an utility, that is a very favorable ratio. Usually utilities borrow a lot of money because they have long-term 30, 40, 200 years plans. So they borrow a lot more money. In your case, you have $55 in the capital, your own money, and $41 in the debt, which is a very, very favorable ratio and or result. So I compliment you on that and your finance team and what have you.
Thank you, Commissioner Correa. I will be glad to pass that along also, right, to our Chief Financial Officer. Thank you.
Right. And because of he is not here, I'm not going to ask you any technical questions.
Well, then you'll never see him again, I guess. I take that back.
Commissioner Correa, since you've made those comments, why don't you be kind enough to make a motion to approve this thing?
Yes, so I move that we adopt order number 9395.
Second the motion?
Any discussion on the motion to approve order number 9395? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. And the commission thanks Tricia Gannon and also the Chesapeake staff for their work in this matter.
Thank
See
you.
you, Mr. O'Brien. Thank you. We'll go back to number 1. But maybe we should put somebody else on that. I'm just kidding. Number 1. We're going to number 1.
I appreciate what you just said.
So we have, gosh, I skipped over number. Okay.
Other side.
I keep, here we go. So we're at number 1. In the matter of the application of Delmarva Power and Light Company for approval of modifications to its gas cost rates. Ms. Orr.
Thank you, Chair Winslow and Commissioners. Lindsay Orr on behalf of Delmarva Power. At the Commission meeting on April 16th, 2019, after a hearing, the Commission voted to approve the settlement agreement executed by the parties in connection with Delmarva Power's annual gas cost rate application. You have in front of you today order number 9383, which memorializes that decision. Delmarva Power thanks staff and DPA for their work on this docket and staff for its preparation of the order and opportunity for comment. Delmarva Power is in agreement with the form of order in front of you today and therefore respectfully requests that the Commission approve order number 9383.
Thank you, Ms. Orr.
Thank you.
Mr. Walsh?
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. This is, again, a consensual order with the attached proposed settlement. I should say Attachment A is the proposed settlement. We have worked with Delmarva and DPA to finalize these terms, crunch the numbers, and ensure that everything is accurate. And we are satisfied that that is the case. The order memorializes, of course, the history of the case, and the settlement, attached proposed settlement, sets forth the terms, even a table with the changes in the GCR demand charge commodity for the different schedules, or I should say classifications. And with that, staff also recommends approval of Order 9383.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Ms. Iori?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The public advocate supports the proposed form of order.
Thank you, ma'am. Any commissioners, any questions?
I move we approve order number 9383 as presented.
I second it.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Orr. And Mr. Walsh. And Ms. Iori. We'll thank everybody. Number 2, in the matter of the application of Delmarva Power and Light Company for an increase in natural gas base rates. And we have Mr. Goodman on behalf of Delmarva Power and Light.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think it was ultimately, the two orders were ultimately presented by DPA and staff, but either way, if it's okay, I'll go first, because I think I'm just going to be saying that we appreciate the opportunity to work hand in hand with them to come to an agreement on what the orders should say and makes them accurate and reflects exactly what we believe the commission ordered, and Delmarva is very comfortable with them and appreciates the opportunity to work with staff at DPA.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Walsh?
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. I won't belabor the point either. These orders, there are two orders which fall under regular agenda number 2. Order 9382 is the denial of the motion to continue, Delmarva's motion to continue, and order number 9399 essentially grants the staff's and DPA's joint motion to dismiss and memorializes those terms. The parties worked quite a bit in finalizing these. I don't know if Mr. Goodman seems to have some confusion looking at the two there. Any questions? Why?
What? No,
Those
my
are the-
confusion is looking at something else. And I get
Those are
confused
the two
easily.
that fall under, do you have the newest agenda? Well, in any event,
I think so, but I.
staff supports approval of Order 9382 and proposed Order 9399, memorializing the Commission's decision at the April 16th, 2019 meeting.
And those are the two orders that I was referring to as well.
Yes.
Those two numbers used by Mr. Walsh.
There's no confusion.
Not on this anyway.
You're trying to make it confusing, but you weren't successful. Ms. Iori?
Thank you, Chairman Winslow. Actually, hearing Delmarva say that they're very comfortable with the orders makes me think that there's something I left out. In any event, I think my confusion stems from order number 9399. I don't think it was a motion to dismiss. I think it was on the exceptions. And that's the one that the commission remanded back to the hearing examiner to apply the appropriate
Correct.
standard. So with that, the public advocate supports both proposed forms of order. Thank you.
Ms. Iori. Commissioners, any questions of the parties? May we have a motion to approve, please?
Do you want both
Yes,
orders at the
yes,
same
ma'am.
time? Move we adopt orders number 9382 and 9399 as presented.
Point of order, I opposed this in the vote.
Yeah.
So now do I approve the order, which reflects that?
Let's bifurcate them so you can vote as you voted before.
Okay.
So let's amend that motion if it's okay with
Okay, let's do,
Well,
Commissioner.
one quick, the order should reflect that you
It
are
does.
opposed.
Yeah.
okay.
And with that, I think you can say that the order accurately reflects what the commission decided.
That's-
Correct.
Thank you, that's a good point. So we're back to where see, we tried to make it confusing too, see?
And I think it's disrespectful for her to clear up the confusion.
I think the answer is yes, I said no.
See, Kevin, Kevin, your departure has really thrown us a loop here.
Yeah, do you see what's happening?
Okay, so the motion stands, and are there any questions with respect to the motion that's been made other than the ones already made and answered? Hearing none, all those in favor?
No, I didn't think we had.
Oh, really, no second, I'm sorry.
Second?
Okay. Is there any comments on or questions about the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thanks very much, everyone. Number 3 is in the matter of the review of customer choice in the state of Delaware. We've got proposed order number 9384, and we have Mr. Goodman.
Thank you, Chair. So this has been a docket that's been going on for quite some time, as you can tell by the docket number, 1693. I don't know if it means that it was started in 2015 or if it was opened in 1693. I can't remember. but
1693, and I
It's
remember it well.
15-1693. No, but it's an important issue, and there were a lot of issues to be covered in it. But one of those was purchase of receivables, and that has been ordered. And the purpose of this order here was merely to approve the discount rate, which you ordered to be applied and calculated in a certain manner. We, again, were able to work very smoothly with all the parties, including RESA, which is the Retail Energy Supply Association, who was a party. And quite reasonably, Mr. Green decided not to travel all the way up here today and bill his client for that when we had agreement on something. So this order, which has been provided by your staff, but absolutely agreed to by all of us, is just to approve that discount rate. However, our plan, as we reported to the commission when we did a little update a couple weeks ago, has been to start actually applying the purchase of receivables on June 1. But as we've told you before, and as you've understood before, when we do extensive testing on this programming, if something isn't going through correctly, and we believe that there could be an error that would cause more headaches that none of us need. In this case, it would be causing the headaches to the suppliers. We will say, time out, we want to take a little more time to test this. So I'm here with Diane Goff, and she's going to explain to you on a technical basis what the problem was. Before Diane joined the regulatory group, she was the czar of making the system work. I forget the exact title, but that's what I call it. Her title was in charge of making the system work. And so she can tell you exactly why and why we weren't comfortable.
We have reviewed that situation with all the parties, staff, DPA, and Mr. Green of RISA, and they're all comfortable with it. We have made sure that the plan was to purchase all receivables back to May 2nd. We're still going to do that, so we decided that that was the appropriate thing to do, just in case any of the suppliers had entered into contracts hoping that we would be able to meet that estimated June 1st date. And we explained that to RISA, and they said thank you, and they're fine with it. They have no objection. So with that, I will have Ms. Goff.
I was gonna say, you took most of it.
No, I said, no, you're explaining the technical part.
So,
I have no idea what she's talking about.
So we've been holding weekly meetings the last few weeks as we're getting closer to the June 1st date. And 2 weeks ago, we encountered some problems with cancel rebills, that it was erroneously marking the canceled bills incorrectly as far as purchase of receivables, and we would have sent incorrect information to third-party suppliers. So we had a go, no-go decision last Friday, and there were still too many issues that we didn't feel comfortable we could correct in the next, in the subsequent 2 weeks. So we reached out to staff yesterday and asked for the reprieve that we could continue to test for another, additional 4 weeks and go live on July 1, so that we can assure that there aren't those system issues when we go live.
And one thing I probably should have said originally is that your order approving purchase of receivables didn't say it has to be done by a certain date. This was just sort of our goal to try and reach it. So it doesn't require you to approve or disapprove anything like that. It doesn't impact your order. We just wanted to, let you know that the goal of June 1, we decided it's not reasonable to try and throw the switch on June 1, so we're going to throw it on July 1.
Thank you, Ms. Goff. Mr. Goodman. Mr. Walsh?
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Delmarva's recitation, I don't have any issues with that. I just want to make sure that the understanding, as I have the emails in front of me, is that we would, because of that June 1st date not being a definitive deadline mentioned in the order, that we would table this to the next meeting. That was the agreement, correct? So this, while I appreciate the discussion and explanation in detail, the understanding of the parties is that the Commission will not be required to make a motion on this particular order. We will simply table it for the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Ms. Ivory?
Thank you, Chairman Winslow. I have nothing to add.
Mr. Goodman?
No, that is accurate. When I said it doesn't impact your order, I meant the order approving purchase of receivables, not the order before you. So if I caused confusion there, Tom, I'm sorry.
No, I knew that's what you meant. I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page.
Well, you clarified something that could have been misunderstood, and I appreciate it.
Number 2 is tabled to the next meeting.
Number 3.
Number 3, sorry. Number 4 is in the matter of the review of customer choice in the state of Delaware. Proposed order number 9397, Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. This is the customer choice docket, and if you'll bear with me just 1 minute, because I am pinch hitting for Mr. Geddes. We have before you, I believe this is the order 9397, and this is simply an order which opens a docket to consider the consolidated billing issue, which resulted from the parties that entered into an agreement as to the issues that would be presented to the hearing examiner. Findings and recommendations was presented to the Commission, and that was approved. And this order which is part of the, evolves from the stipulated order, paragraph 2, which stated the parties agreed that a new docket shall be established to determine whether supplier consolidated billing should be adopted in Delaware in accordance with Delaware Code, Section 1011. With that, staff would respectfully request that the commission approve a new docket be opened to examine whether third-party electric supplier consolidated billing should be permitted and adopted in Delaware.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Ms. Iori?
Thank you, Chairman Winslow. The public advocate does not object to staff's petition.
Commissioners, any questions? I don't have your name listed here, Mr. Goodman, but do you have any comments?
Only that, once again, your staff shared with us a copy of the order because it obviously impacts Delmarva. It's our billing. And we think it's fine. We agree with it. It states the fact that we stipulated order agreed that we should open this, and so we support it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Goodman. Commissioners, any questions?
Move we approve order number 9397 as presented.
Second the motion?
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you all. Number 5 is in the matter of Delmarva Power and Light Company's 2018 transmission formula rate.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I know you see this every year. It is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, your comrades on the federal side, set the transmission rates every year, and they simply get passed through under the FERC formula to customers in the jurisdictions, and, in this case, Delaware. And it shows as part of the supply rate, but you must approve it each year pursuant to Delaware law. And we worked, again, extensively, as we always do on these issues, with staff and DPA, and we've reached an agreement on this order. And to the extent you have any technical questions about it, what we always do is we bring our transmission expert, Mr. Janoka, who you have seen before, so he's here if you have any questions at all. But we support Order 9394.
Mr. Willard.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Again, this matter is normally done in June, but it was not filed until January this time because of the FERC proceedings. Order number 4944, or order 494 from FERC. This will result in a 20.22% increase in rates, or a typical bill would go up by $1.83. And normally, the staff would ask you to just do this temporarily, approve it only temporarily. However, because this is involved with FERC, et cetera, any challenges would have to be made at the FERC level later on. So because of the lack of resources of staff, et cetera, and the additional costs that such a challenge would result in, staff doesn't recommend doing so at this time. And we ask that you approve order number 9394.
Thank you, Mr. Willard. Ms. Iori?
Thank you, Chairman Winslow. The public advocate does not object to the proposed form of order. I do note that the public advocate has intervened in the proceeding before FERC, and there is a settlement conference scheduled for, it's either May 30th or May 31st, which I will be attending.
And of course, the increases in this area have caught the attention of every commissioner in the nation, and especially in PJM, and a lot of work has been done on that issue and continues to be done on that issue. Commissioners, any questions? May we have a motion to approve 9397, please? Yes, exactly, 9394.
I move that we adopt order number 9394.
Second the motion?
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you. Your Honor, before I remove myself from this seat, may I have just a moment to say something about Mr. Janoka?
Absolutely.
so-
You have him come up and sit up
Yeah,
front?
come up here and sit with me, Joe. This is really impromptu. So. But Joe has been, how long have you been with the company?
I've been regulatory for almost 21 years.
Yeah, so 21 years he's been with us. He's been in the utility industry for longer than that, 37 years, starting out with Pico, I believe. And
This is my life.
yeah, this is, anyway, so Joe is,
I didn't study for this.
this is probably the last time he'll be down here, at least as an employee of Delmarva Power, Pepco Holdings. Joe is retiring. And he's meant so much to the company over all these years, and so much to anyone who's worked with him. He just is a fountain of knowledge and a really wonderful person. So I'm not comfortable letting Joe walk out of his commission for the last time as an employee without just letting you know that Joe, who's been a force with us for a long, long time, is heading into a well-deserved retirement with his new grandkids and his family. And so I just wanted to say how much Joe has meant to all of us. And, a lot of the good stuff that's happened at the commission here, practically probably very little hasn't had Joe's fingerprints on it. So I just wanted to let you know that Joe's not an employee soon, but, we're all going to miss him.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Best wishes, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy your retirement.
I'll miss cross-examining you, but best wishes to you.
Okay. There's nothing on the hearing schedule today. Public comment. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to make some comments to the Public Service Commission? Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Time flies, and it's nearly been end of this month is going to be a year in this job. I'm starting to get an identity crisis or whatever crisis. People are jumping ship, So for those who don't know, when I was here the first time around with lots of black hair, and Kevin had hair too, and we went to grade school together. That's how we started our career. So I've known Kevin for a long time, and Kevin, thank you for all you do. It's been a pleasure. Hope you keep in touch. You can always turn the plane around and come back. If you want, we can even hold the position open for a little while till you decide. And also want to thank Lacey. She left probably, but Lacey's done a wonderful job. And I want to thank you for coming to our staff retreat last week. And I know others couldn't make it, but it was a really good retreat. I found out that if you provide food, everybody shows up. So all staff showed up, and we had a good discussion. There were a lot of things that came up. There are some low-hanging fruits that we'll try to accomplish soon, and then there are some other items that we'll try to do as much as possible. I think we're moving in the right direction. I have my right hand and left hand with me, so I'm in good shape here. And thank you for all you do. That's all I have for today.
Thank you very much, Raj. We are now officially adjourned.